administration?
I support transparency in terms of the American people. The far right, Donald Trump, right-wing conspiracy theorists and others are the ones who have put this Jeffrey Epstein thing in the public domain. Let's be clear about that. But once it has broken into the public domain, and there's a clear desire on behalf of the American people to get more information, then the right thing to do is to present the facts and the evidence to the American people.
I made clear for months that I thought there were serious flaws in the underlying bill, and I had hoped that the Senate would work to fix and correct those. They decided to go a different direction. That's their prerogative. I was surprised and disappointed by that. But
in the email, I don't think this really affects the American people. And nobody really is thinking about this. I don't know why this is such a major deal. But for Marjorie Taylor Greene to go off the reservation to say all of these different things, this is why he called her a traitor. This is why people think that she's changed.
This was the biggest fight I think I've seen in Washington, D.C. This is my 5th year here. And this was a fight that we should have never had to wage. It should have been the easiest thing for every single member of Congress. It should have been the easiest thing for the Speaker of the House. It should have been the easiest thing for the President of the United States. And you want to know what the Epstein files represent? The cover-up represents to average Americans. It represents the failures of the federal government and Congress to the American people. And that is what people rose up about in 2024. They wanted and demanded transparency from their government, and for Americans finally to be put first.
You guys, I am singing Kenny Rogers. You gotta know when to hold 'em. The biggest bluff I have seen, I mean, as far as being a political commentator, someone who has been red-pilled, now a decade ago, like, this is the greatest bluff I've ever seen from the Democrats, from some Republicans as well. And, they bluffed their way into getting the Epstein files released. Welcome back to another episode of Archie's Briefings, you guys. I'm your host, Arshel Branch. Now, before we go ahead and get into this bluffing that took place here and how we got here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. Like this video, share this video, and definitely get into the comment section. As you watch, maybe at the end of the video, definitely get into the comments, because you guys, I do think this was a bluffing. Okay. Now, I showed you guys at the beginning of this a series of clips, how, the Democrats, particularly Hakeem Jeffries, trying to push to getting these files actually released. Oh, well, listen, it wasn't us. It was the far right. The far right wanted this information to be released. They got out there. It got into the public square. It crossed party lines, of course. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. He didn't say that in the clip, of course, but that's exactly what happened. And so we're just doing what the American people want. They want this information to be released. So we're pushing this administration to get this information released. And of course, fast forward all these months later, what happens? The information might be coming out. We've already gotten a little bit of a taste of what's in these files, because obviously we know that Jeffrey Epstein wanted to work with Hakeem Jeffries. There was a lot of excitement around Hakeem Jeffries because he's like a Barack Obama type. He's going to be a rising star. We obviously know that Congresswoman Plaskett, she was actively live action in congressional hearings, having conversations with Jeffrey Epstein, asking for information. While during those hearings, he even told her, "Great job." Okay, like, this is what was happening. Quite fascinating to me. Now, of course, it's not like it was just the Democrats who were bluffing here. Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson. Now, you guys, in the beginning, of course, I showed you guys another clip, because again, it was a series of clips I showed you. Marjorie Taylor Greene's floor speech, where she says this shouldn't have even had to have been a battle to wage, that the conservatives, particularly MAGA conservatives, President Trump included, during the campaign, you ran on transparency, you ran on accountability. But at the beginning of the year, towards the beginning of the year, I should say, more likely, he was trying to get people to forget about the Epstein files. You guys remember, he told Pam Bondi to stop talking about this. She would go out on all these interviews talking about how she's seen some of the information. She knows some things. She's seen some things. And there we were waiting to get more information about Jeffrey Epstein. And they tried to, distract us with the MLK media dumping, with the JFK media dumping, which I'm not saying those weren't important as well, but this is the one that is the most important to the America First movement, the MAGA movement, because this is the one that actually has any relevance to our present today. Like, that's what this is about. I'm not saying that JFK wasn't important, okay? My mother wanted to know because she was a child when JFK was assassinated, okay? MLK was also important because, again, my mother was a child when he was assassinated. Like, there are people alive who really want to know, well, who did it? Of course, of course. But like it was relevant for them to know who did what when. I'd like to know if our government is up for sale, if our government is under blackmail. Are we really one nation under God, or are we one nation under blackmail? And of course, in the other clip I showed you of Brandon Tatum saying he doesn't understand why this is important, really, this doesn't have any real effect on everyday Americans as to whether or not people were involved in the Jeffrey Epstein Island and all these, obviously criminal offenses, that this has no bearings on what goes on in the everyday of the American people's lives. Sorry, but if our government is being blackmailed, that has everything to do with the American people. It has everything to do with us, with we the people. Brandon Tatum. Oh, well, no, this is just a way of trying to, hate Donald Trump. This is a way of trying to prove why we shouldn't like Israel. What do you mean shouldn't like Israel? What do you mean? Yes, this only confirms what we've suspected as those of us who are truly MAGA, that Jeffrey Epstein was working with the intelligence communities, not just here in the U.S., but other countries as well. He was working with Mossad. But you know what, B. Tatum? I'll grant you that. Let's say it isn't just about Israel. We do know that he had some dealings with parts of other countries in the Western world. Obviously, look at Prince Andrew. His crimes, the people that were affiliated with this, don't just stop with the American elite. This goes all the way even to British royalty, for goodness sakes. Why does this matter? Because if the Western world is under blackmail, the people of the West have every right to know that their governments cannot be trusted. I mean, if you didn't already know that, you certainly know it now. And why do I call this the great bluffing? Because the Democrats, who were obviously a part of this Epstein circumstance, only decided to push for the release of this because they just believed that Trump would never get it done. They believed that Trump would never push for this to get released, that this was something that was never supposed to happen. This was only a way for them to make an attack on President Trump, that by doing this, this was going to exacerbate whatever civil war conflict that is happening within the GOP. That's what they were doing. They were trying to worsen the wedge between MAGA and the GOP establishment. That's what they were trying to do. Now, frankly, this was an A and B kind of a conflict. See your way out of it. You don't need me. You don't need me to interfere with your conflict. Okay. That's how the Democrats should have responded to this. Instead, they wanted to exacerbate the issue. They wanted to create even more conflict. They wanted to drive a wedge between MAGA and Trump, which there really is no wedge. We're just disagreeing with the guy. That's fine to disagree with him. I'm a true patriot. Okay. I disagree with him on a lot of the policy ideas. That's fine. Still love the guy. I still voted for him, knowing he wasn't the crusader. I don't hate him. Quite like him. I'd invite him to a family barbecue. It's like, he doesn't drink beer and he has to learn how to play spades. But beyond that, I could disagree with him. That's what it means to be a patriot. Okay. There is no we hate the guy because he's not doing everything that we want him to do. And the Democrats bluffed because they were trying to create that circumstance, have it where MAGA just hates President Trump, that we don't like him, that we can't stand him. That's what they were trying to do. And it blew up in their faces. Now, I didn't show you guys this part of the Piers Morgan interview with B. Tatum and a few others on that panel, where he said to Piers Morgan and the rest of the panel, if the Democrats had, I'm not going to say it here because it is quite graphic, but if they had any emails of President Trump engaging in some sexual activity, they would have released it. It's like, are we supposed to pretend from the first campaign that anytime you thought you had something, you didn't release it? Okay, he cheated on his wife with a porn star. That was released. He said, grab women by the P word. That was released. He was still elected. The man is a felon. He was still elected. You had a mugshot and everything. Between the mugshot, the Trump baby balloon, short of trying to kill the guy. Y'all even tried to kill the guy. It didn't work. He still got to the White House. Yeah, bet you're behind that if the Democrats had the real evidence suggesting that Trump had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein at all, they would have used it. And even America First would have been like, yeah, impeach him and remove him. We would have Clinton his ass, excuse my language, out of there, because we don't want corrupt officials representing us in government. That's been the problem for decades. And they had nothing on Trump. So you bluffed and you bluffed and you bluffed. Now, again, it's not like it was just the Democrats who were bluffing here. So was Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He bluffed because in the clip I showed you at the beginning, he says, oh, I'm a bit, concerned and disappointed because there's a lot of flaws with this bill. There are a lot of flaws with this bill, and I was hoping that when it got to the Senate, that the Senate would acknowledge this and that the Senate would kick it over back to the Congress. Yeah, you were hoping, and I think this is true even with the Democrats, they were hoping that the Senate would play politics, that they would do this back and forth thing and nobody wins except the people who were a part of the cabal, that only the criminals win, that the American people end up losing here. That's what he was hoping would happen, that this would just be up for debate regularly, that nothing would come of this at all. Instead, the Senate says, yeah, pass it. We're sending it to the president. He's going to sign it into the law. This is happening. It's going to be released. The information is going to be released. That is what's going down. Okay. And he's not happy about it because you wanted them to play politics with this. We're tired of you adding cards to the house of cards. Okay. We hired conservatives. We hired President Trump and MAGA. And hopefully we wanted Mike Johnson to be the speaker of the House. So that way you could destroy the house of cards. I want MAGA, not GOP establishment. And for B. Tatum to go on to Piers Morgan and go on and on about how, oh no, they're just trying to use this to determine if we should not like President Trump. No, that's not what this is about. Oh, they're just trying to use this as a way to not like Israel. No, that's not what this was about. Frankly, I don't care if Israel's involved or not involved. I believe that Epstein has information on our government officials, and this is why things don't get done on behalf of the American people. I think President Trump is aware of that, and that's why he didn't want it released. This is not because I think he's guilty. It's not because I want to hate the president. Heck, it's not even because I hate or dislike Mike Johnson. I think these are good guys. Okay? I think they're good people. I think they're good men. I don't, however, believe that they are doing what is in the best interest of MAGA. And how does this affect the American people, Brandon Tatum? The American people believe and have believed for quite some time now that the federal government has failed. And this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said on her floor speech. You guys should definitely go check out the whole speech. I only showed you clips here, but I do believe that she's right. 5 administrations have gone by and nothing has been done with Epstein. There was a congressman on the House floor that made it clear, that said, listen, if there are no perp walks of the elite, then this means nothing. This is not about clarity, which is what B. Tatum said on Piers Morgan. Oh, no, I think they should release the files so the American people can have clarity. Clarity? I'm not looking for just clarity. I'm looking for accountability. I am sick, so sick of elites just getting away with doing harm to the American people. Sorry, not sorry. Fauci gets pardoned by Joe Biden after doing serious damage to our fellow American citizens. I got a problem with that, okay? If our government is under blackmail, I have a right to know as a tax-paying citizen, as every other American citizen has a right to know, tax-paying or otherwise. Heck, I don't even care if you're getting paid under the table. I agree with Marjorie Taylor. There shouldn't have been a fight with the president. There shouldn't have been a fight with the Speaker of the House. The Democrats bluffed. Mike Johnson bluffed. You sent a bill off to the Senate hoping that they would play politics, and they didn't. This is what the people want. They want it released. Let's get it released. Marjorie Taylor said in her floor speech she fully intends to read the names of the people who were involved in this, okay? Now, I don't say all the things that I say about the Republicans or about President Trump because I think he's a part of this. First off, the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein said, yeah, no, he's guilty. He's not guilty. He's got nothing to do with it. I don't think he's not trying to have it released because he had anything to do with it. We know he had nothing to do with it. I think he's trying to protect people, which makes sense because the people who were involved, so they're alluding to him protecting someone or some people, possibly governments. And we know that Jeffrey Epstein was working with Mossad. He was working with the CIA, possibly working with British intelligence if he was just working with a bunch of intelligence agencies, because we know the British monarchy is involved in this as well. Prince Andrew, again, his crimes, his relationships span over the Atlantic and into the Middle East. We're supposed to sit here and pretend like this isn't a threat to the United States. This isn't a threat to the American people. He's negotiating deals with world leaders and CIA agencies, intelligence agencies. And we're supposed to think that Jeffrey Epstein, this horrific, demonic, sadistic of a man who is no longer with us, thank the Lord. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. Just, you try not to as a Christian. But this is what he was doing. And I was supposed to believe that Jeffrey Epstein was brokering deals that was going to be in the best interest of the American people. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about, you guys? What are you talking about, Brandon Tatum? Oh, this is just about wanting to hate Israel. No. And that's the whole point. It's not about hating Israel. It's not about hating any country or even any government. This is about having a serious hatred of sin and wanting to get away from it, wanting to sin no more, to have real transformation so we could have the blessings from the Lord. We can't have that transformation if our federal government refuses to accept and release the truth. With the truth can come transformation. That is scripture. And by not wanting to have this information released to the American people, by not wanting to have real change in our government, you are effectively going against the scripture. You're going against Christ. You're going against MAGA. Why is this relevant to the American people, B. Tatum? It's relevant because it has real effects on the policies in which get passed that affect our everyday lives. Because on Piers Morgan, what does he say? People only really care about their pocketbooks. They care about what they can afford. They care about the cost of living. They care about those things. Yeah, but is it possible that because the deals have been brokered by our government is why people's pockets are suffering? There's a thought. For generations now, our government has decided to put other countries first over us, allowing even our allies to take advantage of us. And we are the ones who end up further and further into debt while they flourish and become more prosperous. That's been the decision since World War II. To let the rest of the world benefit from the greatest consumers on the face of the earth while we financially suffer. That's been the goal. That's been the idea. That's been what's happening. And it's only gotten exacerbated with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I'm not convinced that our federal government has been doing what it's supposed to be doing and trying to protect opportunity in this country. You're brokering deals with a man who was a sex offender. And why am I to believe that he didn't set this whole thing up so he can make money off the blackmail? If this is a, life imitating art kind of a thing, I'm thinking the fall of the House of Usher. One of the ushers decided that they were going to have one of these crazy, inappropriate sex parties, and he was charging at the door, but the real money was in the blackmail. And I saw that and thought to myself, Epstein. And how many of our politicians have been involved in this? How many of our elites who are at the head of our institutions have been involved in this? I don't believe that President Trump has anything to do with this. I do believe he's trying to cover it up, which is why he didn't want it released. Why? Because if it gets out, how many people are going to be removed from public office? Does this destroy our federal government and forces an emergency where real citizens and real loyalists to we the people and real patriots get elected? You have the truck driver in office. You have the financial coach who was trained by Dave Ramsey in office. I'd love a Caleb Hammer to go to office. Would love for it. My older brother is a truck driver. I think he'd be perfect. He'd be great as the Secretary of Transportation. He'd certainly do way better than Pete Buttigieg. That's for damn sure. I'm convinced the Democrats, Mike Johnson, they bluffed. They bluffed. And they're pissed that the information is coming out, or at least we hope it's going to come out fully unredacted, of course. I don't want an Anachka moment. And so you guys, before, I end this, I just want to, tell you, when I think about this whole situation between the Democrats and Speaker Johnson and why this turned into a battle with Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, really with Trump and MAGA, okay, why that became such a problem is unbelievable to me, because I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. This should not have been a fight. And she still stands with MAGA. The woman has not changed her position. She's saying everything that she said when she was first elected. She's fighting for the American people. She's fighting to put America first. That's MAGA. That's what it is. I said this in yesterday's episode, you guys. Okay. Now, I officially am dubbing Marjorie Taylor Greene as the matron. Okay. She's the matron of MAGA. That is what I think she is all about. And you guys, I think about her and people like myself and others, commentators and other Congress, people who are in public office, who truly supported this idea of getting the Epstein files out, who truly support putting America first, not having us replaced by immigrants, of course. There's a series of things that really make an individual MAGA, both as commentators and as people who are in public office. And I think about the true definition, or maybe not true definition, but Theodore Roosevelt's definition of what patriotism is. The famous quote by him, and it absolutely reigns true for me. So I have it here, you guys. This is what it is. Patriotism means to stand by the country. It does not mean to stand by the president. It does not mean to stand by the president or any other public official, save exactly to the degree in which he himself stands by the country. It is patriotic to support him insofar as he efficiently serves the country. It is unpatriotic not to oppose him to the exact extent that by inefficiency or otherwise he fails in his duty to stand by the country. In either event, it is unpatriotic not to tell the truth, whether about the president or anyone else. End quote. That's exactly how it is, you guys. That's exactly how it is and what it is. Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's a patriot. A patriot. And I believe those of you who are subscribers to the channel are also patriots. Okay? This is not about not loving President Trump. I love the president. I think he's a good guy. He's trying, and I can appreciate that. But that doesn't mean I got to agree with everything that he's doing. And he did not support the release of the Epstein files. His hand was pushed. He lost the battle to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So did Speaker Mike Johnson. So did the Democrats. Because again, if we're thinking Theodore Roosevelt's quote about patriotism, it's not about standing by the president or any public official. Okay? We're trying to save our country here. We're trying to do what's best for the American people. Our people. I don't care about the rest of the world. Okay? I don't care about being the leader of the free world. What I'm saying is we don't need to be the global order. And if you want to be the leader, you lead by example, not by sending the military everywhere, not by giving money to everybody, simply leading by example. That's your job. That's what we're supposed to do. Lead by example. It is not for us to save the world. That is Jesus' job. Jesus saves. And if we understand this as a Christian society, then why are you giving money to Argentina? Why are you not trying to have this information released? This shows you're putting us first. This shows you listened to the base. Even if B. Tatum thinks it's not that relevant, we believe it is. So now what say you? And I will leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching. Definitely get into the comment sections and let me know. Do you think that they bluffed their way into getting these Epstein files released? Because frankly, I think that's what happened here. I think the Democrats and Speaker Johnson bluffed and they're not happy. And we're getting the files anyway. So very, very thrilled about that. What do you guys think is in these files? Because I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of Democrat names. We might find some Republicans in there. But really, it's about destroying the House of Cards, destroying the Uniparty, destroying the complex that is just the complex of evil, the military-industrial complex. But the industry of evil. Yeah, nah, I think this is it. I think we're on to something. And that matters, okay? That matters. Love you guys. Definitely get in the comment sections. I'm going to take myself on to work now. Love you guys. Have a good day. God bless. God bless you guys. God bless America first. God bless these United States and we the people. And, let the best angels reach out to Speaker Johnson and to President Trump so that way we can all be on the same page again. Let's just try to have that happen. God bless. And of course, because it's me, applause.